What's up, everyone, and welcome into episode number 520, where it is my honor and privilege to introduce a special guest joining this episode, and that is LCC outfielder Daniel Rice. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for joining. I know you just had practice and not too long ago. So how was practice today? How's things going over at LCC? I know you're kind of towards the end of probably the first semester, so you're probably pretty happy about that, if I have to be completely honest, or if you have to be completely honest with yourself.
Yeah, I mean, practice today was solid. Like I said a little bit earlier, we had a great competition, so that was solid. And then we've been just staying consistent, so that's about it. And then semester's about to end. Yeah, that's great. It's awesome. So go have some family time. That'll be solid. Christmas right on the corner, so love that.
Oh, absolutely. And just Thanksgiving as well. I hope you had a good Thanksgiving. Hopefully, you were able to eat some good food and hang out with family as well, because I know you have a older brother that plays at MSU as well. So it's a pretty athletic family. We might talk a little bit about that here shortly. But yeah, I'm just glad that things are going well for you overall. Just yeah, like how's things like the kind of like the transition, the whole like you just wrapped up fall ball for the most part. Just how's things been going outside of just the practice, kind of the competition you had today?
Yeah, I mean, for sure, it's all been great. I mean, started off the fall, I was doing pretty solid, then I struggled a little bit. Going from high school ball to college is way different. It's way more
Yeah.
sped up, a lot faster pitching, so took me a minute to adjust, but I've been adjusting a lot in this fall break before the spring starts, so hopefully we can keep going with that. But other than that, it's been unbelievable. It's been a great change. My whole body's transforming over just to being a college baseball player now, so it's great.
And obviously, being a college baseball player, you're typically one of the best players in your own high school. Was it a little unusual, kind of going through a little bit of a struggle for you? Obviously, baseball is like a sport that you fail more than you succeed, especially when you're hitting. But was that kind of a little bit of a rude adjustment, a rude awakening for you, kind of trying to get used to a little bit more of the college game? Because obviously, when you're performing really well in high school, that's just kind of like maybe the expectations that you have to perform a specific way, to have a specific average, specific style of play.
Yeah, it was definitely a big struggle. I've never struggled like that in my life, to be completely honest, on a baseball field. Cause
Okay.
coming in this summer, I had probably the best summer I could have possibly had going into college ball. I mean, I was on an all-time high, to be completely honest. I was hitting 500, I was doing all this great stuff coming in like, "Okay, okay, I'm ready," and then just boom, it all hit the fan kinda. And then it was just kinda crazy, and then I know we're gonna talk about my faith a little bit, but that's where that became, like, a huge part of my life and all that, and I was one of the better players on my high school team, but we also had this other kid who plays at Oakland now, he's a baseball player there, so it
Okay.
was always between, like, me and him, not the best, but it just worked out that way because he was a great baseball player as well, so when we go into games, it was like they got 2 guys instead of just 1 type thing, so
Yeah, and obviously going into LCC, you mentioned like hitting 500. Like that's just kind of you get used to that, and then you kind of get to LCC, and it's like, why am I going on a slump? Like you mentioned, you went
yeah.
on a slump. Like if you're not used to that or haven't had that experience for like all summer, or even like your high school season, it's like okay, like this is kind of like a welcome to college moment for you. Was that kind of what your experience was? There one specific kind of moment that you really like settled in, that you're like, okay, this is different? Or was it more of kind of the slump that you went through, kind of a whole bunch of things that made you realize like, okay, this isn't summer baseball, this isn't high school baseball anymore, but this is really truly college baseball?
For sure. I would say it was more the slump because I've always had the
Okay.
speed coming in, so, like, all that portion of my game is always gonna be there, but it was more the slump because I've never been in something like that, and it was just a complete, like, whirlwind almost like, "Wow," like, "I can't believe I'm struggling this bad," and then just getting over that is how I've been working now, and it's been smooth sailing. I had to make adjustments with my not really my swing, but more my stance, like, how is my timing and adjusting that, and ever since I've been figuring that out, it's been great. But, like, in the beginning of the year, yeah, it was a huge struggle.
Yeah, and I know LCC is pretty like technically like savvy as well. I know you guys do a ton of like technology. I
Yeah,
know that's
big
something that LCC has the capability of doing, which most JUCO schools, if you look at, and probably maybe most like D2, D3 schools, maybe even some D1 schools, depending on where it's at, you guys probably don't really necessarily have that technology. So you kind of have that to really help you obviously
Mhm.
evolve. But was this something that you kind of expected to go through at the very beginning, like go through struggle? Did you kind of think like, hey, like obviously where I'm coming from, one of the best players, I can kind of transition to college pretty easily?
No, definitely not. I thought it was gonna be a way easier transition. I mean, I worked with my brother all in the summer, just, like, staying consistent hitting, and I thought, like, going in, I was riding on a high, like I said, and I was hitting great, and, my coaches were telling me, like, "You're gonna be great at the next level," like, guys who went through it.
Oh
So,
yeah,
I had a little bit of, like, a uplift going on, and then I just, like, struggled, and I remember talking to my brother actually, like, about it after, like, the fall games have ended. Now it's just practice, but and it was just like, "I don't know what I'm doing, T, like, I don't know
yeah.
what to do," and all that. He was like, "I struggled my freshman fall too." He was like, "It's just like, once you get the opportunity, you gotta go with it." So, right now, I'm just, like, digging myself up from that hole I built. I mean, I know with how not how bad I played, but how much better I could have played, I can only go up now. So, like, that struggle, I gotta look at it like I can only go up from here.
Exactly, and like you mentioned, you had your brother to go to, but you also had you mentioned a little while ago, you had your faith to go through as well, and how that was a big part of kind of that journey of that struggle. Just talk a little bit about like not only how important your faith is, but how like faith got you through that struggle. Because obviously, when things aren't going well, there's different avenues you can go to. Like people can go like work out, people can put in more time, people can go the faith route. I'm sure you probably did all of that stuff, but just how impactful was your faith prior to kind of going through that struggle, and how has your faith truly helped you through the struggle and kind of get to you where you are today?
Yeah, for sure. My faith plays a huge part of my life. Like, there's nothing I turn more to when I'm going through struggle, whether that's in life or in baseball. So, I look at it in a way like you want your faith there when you're at a high, you want it there when you're at a low, but more importantly, you want a great mentor, I should say, and there's no better mentor or person to look at than God or Jesus or however people wanna, like, look
Exactly.
at it. But I know when I'm struggling, a little prayer can just help me, and that goes a long way in just talking about my faith to people or talking to it myself, whether it's in the morning when I wake up praying or at night when I go to bed praying, like, just trying to be consistent, and not everyone's consistent, I'm not consistent, I still struggle with it, but I
Oh yeah.
know I know that when I am at a low, I'd rather have that great connection that I can fall back onto when I don't have someone there to fall back onto. So that's how I look at my faith. Like, it's probably the biggest thing in my life other than my family.
Exactly, and it's obviously great that you have your faith that you can go back to and just obviously like help you through the struggle, but also like kind of going through just regular life as well. Like you mentioned, like not everyone's perfect, everyone struggles with faith, everyone struggles with anything that they go through. And sometimes when you're going through those struggles, I'm sure for you, like I don't know if you ever like truly like question like, do I belong here? Should I have ever come here? But like if you were, like it's one of those situations of like you have to have not only that belief in yourself, obviously, but also having that faith to try to get you back on track or just try to like pray or like talk to someone and try to figure things out for your life. And sometimes when you're in the darkest spot where you might not necessarily like hear get anything back, like that's when you truly need to have like the strongest faith, your strongest like connection, not only with family like you mentioned, but with Jesus, with God, all that stuff.
Yeah, to tag along to that, same thing. It's really hard, honestly, when your brother's at the highest level.
Yeah,
So, like, you got, like, a lot of pressure on you, I'd say. So, once I came in here, like, on that high and I started to struggle, that pressure started to fall on me too. Because I was like, "Well, man, like, he's he's up here and I'm battling to get up there right now." But the struggle is more of, like, am I in his shadow or how do I get out of his shadow, which I've lived with my whole life, so it's never really, like, separated me from, like, me to him, but it's like, I hear it all the time, like, "Oh, your brother's this, your brother's that, he's great, he's this," and I'm like, I understand that, like, but, like so, like, that pressure falls on me a little bit, but since I've heard it my whole life, I've been able to dig through that. Cause yeah, I know my brother's great, like, it's my
yeah,
brother.
oh
So,
yeah,
it's awesome to hear about people talk about him in that way, but it's like that pressure falls on me a little bit because it's like I gotta get to there. So, and I know I paved my own path, talk to about my family all the time, like whether it's at the D2 level after this or D1, like I know I gotta just pave my own path and take my own
Oh yeah.
route. That's kind of why I chose here. Just I want to take my own route, not my brother's route, kind of thing, to what people would think.
Yeah, because it's your own journey, right? Like
Mhm.
everyone's on their own journey. Some people kind of follow the same like path as like parents, brothers,
Yeah.
sisters. Like that's kind of their own choice. And other people do their own type of journey. And everyone obviously has a journey to get there. But I'm sure probably growing up with your brother as well, I'm sure you guys were probably extremely competitive against each other.
Yeah.
I'm sure there was probably like competing in sports, contests,
Sure.
fighting. It's probably that's what every brother duo kind of always goes through. But you mentioned a little bit about like kind of like having people talk a little bit about him and just saying, "Hey, I know he's great. I hear all this stuff." But you also did mention through that struggle that you went to your brother. So it
Mhm.
sounds like even though you understand and people say like of how great it is and how much like that kind of maybe puts a little bit of a burden or pressure on you, there's still that relationship you have with him to help you through the times of when things are going well, when
Yeah.
things aren't going as well. So it seems like even though there's that pressure there, there's still that relationship, that bond that you guys have, that you want to see each other succeed, which is I think the best
For
way of
sure.
approaching it, even if you feel a little bit of pressure compared to what he's doing.
Mhm. Yeah, for sure. No, there's no comparison between me and him in our eyes. I mean, yeah, there's always competition. There's always competition no matter what. But at the age we're at, it's always trying to get each other better. It's not like, oh, you're better at this, you're better at that. It's like we're getting each other better at what we're worse at. So my flaws, like I came here to get bigger, to get stronger, like not quicker. Like his flaws are different than my flaws, but his are more developed than mine were at my age. So that's the reason for like the levels and all that some people don't understand. But like when I'm working in the off season or when we have 26 days off and I have to work, like there's no other person I'd rather lean on than my brother because he's been through it. So like the way I look at it versus the way other people look at it is like two completely different ways. Because no matter what, I'm getting better every day because I'm picking up stuff that he's learned from these great coaches and on.
Yeah. Exactly. Like obviously it's like a learning, but it's again back to a different part of like an adventure, different part of a journey. And is that the main reason why you decided to go the JUCO route instead of maybe a D3, D2, like just kind of going obviously through a little bit of a different journey, but also for a lot of people that don't know, like LCC is probably one of the best JUCOs for baseball in the entire country. Like
For
ju-
sure.
what you guys have not only like technology wise, but like your coach is great. Like you
Hmm.
have like a ton of like different things that people at other JUCOs may not have, which I'm sure is something that you're extremely grateful for. I'm sure it's something that you guys as a team is extremely grateful for. But like when people hear JUCO, they don't think of like a great place with all this technology. But at LCC, you guys have it pretty fun from talking with other players on your team.
Yeah, we have it pretty great. So, I would say the reason I chose this route was 100% like to pave my own path because we have my cousin Tommy. He played at Saginaw. So
Okay.
one of my lifelong goals was to go there. And then once I got to like that age, I was kind of like he ended up leaving because he had I don't know if you know what the yips are, but he was a catcher.
Yeah, yeah. I've usually most people think of like yips as like a pitcher, but yeah, I know what the yips are.
So he had a battle at that where he couldn't really get it back to like the pitcher actually.
Okay.
So it was crazy. So he decided like it's just call it quits from there. And from that, I was like, obviously I talked to Saginaw a little bit as I told you about it and all that, but like it was more of like now I want to pay my own path. Now I want to do what I can do. So like if that's still there when I'm out of here, which would be a blessing, I would love to go there. They're a great school. But also I want to pay my own path. So like wherever my life takes me, wherever Jesus takes me, that's what I'm doing.
Exactly. And I obviously hadn't heard of anyone. I've heard of obviously the yips before, but that's kind of crazy that he got the yips so bad where he couldn't throw it back to the catcher. But like that's just some things that happen. Like there's people that play sports for so long that it gets to a point of like where it just gets overwhelming. Hopefully, obviously, you never experience the yips. Obviously,
Yeah,
you experience struggle, which is part of baseball. That's what I think makes baseball so fun is kind
for
of
sure.
the struggle a little
I'm
bit.
gonna
It's
make it
probably
seem
not fun doing it though, if I had to
mhm, no,
guess.
not at all.
But hey, that's why people love baseball is because of where you can come from.
Yeah,
Because like you can have a streak where you're going over 20 or over 30, which is not a fun streak, but then you picked one thing. Next thing you know, like the next 3, 4, or 5 games, you're going 3 for 4, and
yeah.
you're on top of the world, and the baseball is looking at like a beach ball instead of like a little like ping pong ball.
For sure, exactly, and there's one thing that my coach said when I was struggling, he was like, "Just bunt, like, lay one down, like, you're quick, I'm surprised you haven't done it yet." So I did that, and then it fixed it, and then but there's one thing that he talks about a lot, which is, like, one thing that we use a lot is, like, stacking bricks, always stack
Okay.
bricks, and when we had this, like, little one-on-one conversation we were doing in the fall, and he was talking about how, like, there's a huge brick wall and, like, I'm just running into it, like, I can't get
Yeah.
around it, which is part of the struggle. So when I looked at it, like, I had to figure out a way to get around that brick wall, whether it was bunting or changing my stance. So one thing I did was I did change my stance because my timing was a little off. I don't know if it was that. Sometimes I was on time, I was just, like, struggling completely.
Okay.
So I was just trying to find, ways around this wall, and then, like, that is when my faith came in big because I was like, "What am I doing wrong?" But I couldn't figure it out. So then, like, that way when I looked at it, it put it into perspective in a way easier way to try and get around that brick wall.
Exactly. And when you make a change in your stance, I feel like that's bigger than most people would think about it. Because some people what might say, "Oh, it's just a stance change." Like you might move your foot up a little bit, back a little bit. I don't know exactly 100% the change that you made, but like even small, like minute changes in baseball, like it can completely change a lot of stuff. And I'm sure it's probably something that maybe didn't have as big of an impact, but I'm sure it probably had a little bit of a timing factor because you
Yeah.
mentioned like timing's huge when it comes to your swing. If you're not on time, if your legs, if your arms, if the bat isn't coming through the zone at the right time, guess what? It's not going to end very well. So if
Yeah.
anything's off, timing's off, you're not going to perform well, you're going to struggle, which it seemed like you went through. But sounds like this little slight change helped fix that a little bit,
Oh, for
try to
sure.
get the whole body working together correctly, which is another big part of at the plate.
Mhm, for sure, and confidence, like, I was all-time low, so I had to build that back up, but once I did that, like, I've been doing great, staying consistent, so not being complacent, and that's all I can, like, ask for right now in myself, so
And baseball's like one of those crazy sports of like confidence is huge. Like if you're not mentally there, or if you have a bad at bat and you let it affect you in the outfield, like that's going to very much possibly let it affect the rest of your game. Or let's
for
say
sure.
you don't make a catch or you make an error or something like that. It could let you affect your next play appearance. And then next thing you know, that goes on the next day, the next day, the next day, the next game. And if you're not performing well, coaches are pretty quick, especially in college, to say, okay, let's give someone else the shot,
Yeah, 100%.
which is crazy, but that's what college athletics is about getting opportunities to play, about taking advantage of those opportunities and just not letting those small, minute, like mental part of the game get to you
Yeah,
even when you're
exactly.
making mistakes.
Yeah, 100%.
Do you think, well, I don't want to say mentality wise, but do you think like you've kind of like changed the way you like approach training, just conditioning overall since you got there? Because obviously it's a different type of training that you are probably used to, but like, is it different than maybe what you're used to, especially kind of playing in the outfield, or is it a lot of the same type of stuff? Like, it really can't change too much.
Yeah, I would say the conditioning is completely different. I mean, it's a whirlwind, like, in high
Okay.
school, we didn't condition as much as we did here. It's a crazy amount of change, but it's all great. And then outfield wise, I would say the same. There's a big change here. It's just a lot faster pace, a lot different technique that they teach and than I learned, I guess. And I came in, I had to
Okay.
fix my arm slot a little bit. So all that, like all the stuff I came in here to develop, I'm just trying to work on by myself to fix almost. But like all the stuff is different and the same at the same time. It's a little hard to compare it all besides the conditioning side. That's
Yeah.
crazy change.
I was just gonna say, I'm sure you're probably running pole to pole, or I'm sure you're probably running quite a bit, especially being an outfielder. Obviously, having the speed that you do probably helps,
Yeah,
but
for
I'm
sure.
sure I've heard of, at least in high school, but I'm sure it probably happens in college as well, running poles, which doesn't
Mhm.
necessarily seem the most fun in the world, but it's just part of baseball.
Yeah, no, for sure. We in the first couple weeks, it was a lot of running, and then we have this thing called extra growth, so if you don't do some stuff the right way, or we have to do this one thing called the readiness test every morning. If you don't do that, you got extra growth, so that's extra of what we
Okay.
have going on that day. But we're always conditioning, always keeping our bodies right, so at the end of the day, it's just what's great for you. You can't really complain as much as people wanna complain or as much as you yourself wanna complain. You just stick it out and keep going, because at the end of the day, it's making you way better.
Yeah, it's making you way better. It's pushing you as well. It's making everyone else better. And it's kind of that competition that drives each other. Like, obviously, we talked a little bit about, like, and I mentioned about, like, the fact of, like, if you don't play well for a couple of days, someone could be right up there playing instead of you. Like, that's kind of the unique thing about just college athletics is that you obviously have that competition, but it's not like that competition is a bad thing because I feel like some people might think that competition is a bad thing. Like, that person behind you wants you like get past you. Well,
Mhm.
yeah, obviously, but there's the difference between wanting to get past you and wanting to push you. And that's one thing that I've learned about LCC. And one thing I do want to kind of talk a little bit about is just the team and just like how connected you guys are, just like the chemistry of how like everyone obviously wants you play and everyone wants you succeed and everyone wants to be the same guy, the starting
Mhm.
guy, but it's about the success of the team overall instead of success of one individual.
Yeah, I would say we're all pretty close for the most part. I think everyone is like boys with everyone. We all hang out. We all do all the stuff like when we're going out to eat or something. Like we're all doing that the same. So I'd say we're all pretty close, whether we're in competition or all that. We all want what's best for each other, which is rare to see it sometimes on a team. But there's not really one guy who's selfish on this team, which is like great. You couldn't really ask for much better. So I guess finding our identity is something we're still trying to do, I would say, but we're all close. It's a very close team and it's early, so you can't really ask for much better.
Yeah, and it's one of those things of like the most important part is finding the identity at the right
Mhm.
time.
For
Like
sure.
obviously you want to find it as soon as possible, but for a lot of teams it's going to kind of be going through exactly what you guys are going through right now is like you're in the fall, you're winter time, you're obviously getting ready for the spring, but you want to obviously gel, but the most important part is obviously you winning in the spring, which is something that historically if you look at LCC, that's just kind of I don't want to say like the goal, that's kind of the expectation
Mhm.
is for you guys to not only win often, but get to like the College World Series. Like
Yep, for
you
sure.
guys have gone to a College World Series multiple times in the last couple of years. You guys have gotten really close in a couple of years. I mentioned earlier, one of the best JUCOs in the entire country. Like that's just something that kind of comes along with being at LCC. And was that something you even knew prior to kind of getting in, or is that something that they kind of instill pretty early on once you get there? You might know, but that's probably something that they instill. Like we have
Yeah.
certain expectations here.
Yeah, for sure. It's always uh, talked about, I would say. There's always something that we do to make sure we are getting to that point. But coming in, I definitely knew it was a big thing, not as big like as I thought it was gonna be, but it's huge here. Like when you're here for sure. But I did actually know one of my brothers and I's best friend growing up played at LCC. He's now at FIU.
Okay.
But he
Okay.
played he played at Lansing. He made it to a College World Series actually. So
That's
seeing that
awesome.
when I was younger, when I was getting recruited by LCC was a big like, okay, like I like winning. So not much better place to develop and win. So
Exactly. You look at the players like you specifically mentioned, like your cousin FIU. I know there was a catcher a couple of years ago that's at MSU now
mhm, yeah, Noah
playing. I
Bright, yep.
know Noah right. Yeah. I
Mhm.
know that you just like look at just kind of the overall like talent that comes through LCC, but it's one of those things of you probably hear it, you probably see it, but it's probably different once you're in it, if
For
I had to
sure.
guess.
For sure. Big time, yeah. It's
And
instilled crazy.
And also, I know one thing that your coach instills is making sure you never take the elevators as well. I've
But
heard,
yeah, no elevators at all. Always stairs, whether because it's uncommon.
exactly.
Every time you go to a hotel or something, you might see the dirty stairs because they don't think about cleaning it, which is I never really thought about till I got here, but now every time I'm anywhere, stairs, 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 whether it's 11 flights of stairs or it's just like it's not even like it's uncommon. It's cool. It's cool to be a part of. Like you see all these people going on the elevator and you're like, "Nah, I gotta take the stairs."
Yeah,
It's
it's like
very,
you
very cool.
mentioned the word uncommon, but it's not uncommon to you guys. That's just
Mhm. Yeah.
expectations. That's just
Yep.
what you're used to at this point.
Mhm, yeah, it's very cool because 'cause we'll talk about it sometimes when, like, you see, like, really dirty stairs or we have this leadership class, so it'll be brought up where he'll be somewhere and he'll take pictures of the stairs and how dirty they are, and it's, like, it's kinda crazy to see.
Yeah. What's the most amount of flight of stairs you've had to walk if you remember since getting to LCC?
So my buddy who plays at Oakland that I mentioned, he lives on I wanna say, like, maybe the 5th floor of where he lives at,
Okay.
so when I went to visit him, probably there I don't know if it was even the 6th, but if we would go there and then we'd walk around to, like, another, dorm area, probably dorms, just, like, seeing my
Yeah.
boys and all that, always taking the stairs. Some of them live on the 7th, some of them live on the 2nd, so it's but probably dorms for sure.
Okay. Yeah, I just thought I had to ask you. You
Yeah,
just
no.
talked about like 11th, and I'm like, has he
Yeah.
had to lock 11th place? I'm like,
Yeah, no,
obviously
never 11th.
you would be happy to do that. Well, maybe not happy, but you'd do it.
Yeah. But it is cool. It's definitely once you get there, it's like, "Hey, it wasn't that bad." Like, it's just it would be hard with all that luggage, which I haven't had to do yet, but
Oh,
I couldn't imagine carrying all that up, but
yeah. I was just
sooner
gonna
than
say
later it'll
move.
happen.
I was just gonna say moving in, moving out is gonna probably be like, yeah, this maybe isn't as fun, but it's just part of
Yeah, you
obviously
gotta
the
power through
uncommon
it.
culture.
Mhm,
Exactly.
for sure.
And obviously, like, that's culture that, like, has been built, that's something that you have kinda, like, bought into. Is that really, like, the uncommon, like, attitude and just kinda buying into that culture? Is that, like, the biggest thing you've learned so far? Or, like, what's the biggest thing you've learned about yourself since getting to LCC? You mentioned earlier about, like, growth as a person, not only like obviously more responsibility, but just wanting to become that college baseball player, having those expectations, needing to obviously grow as an individual. Just how much have you changed, and what's the biggest kind of like lesson or the biggest thing you've learned about yourself throughout this process?
Yeah, I would say the biggest self I learned is how much I should lean on my faith, and I went to a Catholic school, so I was always very, like, religious, but, like, now it's crazy times because, like, you struggle more than, like, anything, whether it's just outside of baseball or even in baseball. It's just, like, your first time moving out, all that stuff, like, just your life is changing in front of you, so, like, just having that to fall back on, I would say I've learned a lot about myself just from that, and just like lifting and eating healthier, like, I had to put on, like, 15 pounds just, like, being here because not being the smallest guy, but just, like, getting there to be with all my group of guys, so
Yeah. Yeah, because this is probably the first time, like you mentioned, you're away from family. Like
Mhm,
you're maybe not like super far away, like maybe like couple hours, but like you're
mhm.
away from family. You're on your own for the first time. You're at Lansing Community College. Like you need to kind of like go through those things, learn things. I'm sure probably you need to like cook for yourself now. Like
Yeah.
it's just kind of part of obviously growth, but again, it's kind of going back to leaning on your faith, leaning on like the people you're with to kind of go through and try learn and try to grow through those opportunities.
Yeah, for sure.
So what's just life like as a student athlete at LCC? Obviously you have baseball practice, obviously you have school, but like it's a really nice campus, it's a really
Mhm.
nice facility. Just walk through like a day-to-day life like at LCC.
Yeah, so for sure. Well, Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, we got morning lifts. So those are we gotta wake up around I'm up around 6:30 because it's at 7,
Okay.
about 15 minutes from school. So we'll go there, and then usually if you have class, like I have class Monday, Tuesday, so I'll go to class from there, or I'll come back, take like a 30-minute nap, then I'll go to class. And then if I don't have lifts, then usually I'll wake up around try and stay consistent, 9:30. So, like,
Okay.
I'll get a couple more hours of sleep, but, like, wake
Yeah.
up at a nice decent time, and then obviously eat, and then do a little homework if I have some. Usually stuff's due every Wednesday and Sunday, so I try and get it done prior to that, so I don't really have to worry about it, and then practice, hang out with my friends. Every Thursday we have church, so I'll do that, but we also have Bible study on Wednesdays.
Okay.
So, stuff like that. A lot of the guys, which was really cool, is there a lot of them are Christian or Catholic, so it's really cool to talk about your faith with some guys that, like, you never thought you'd even meet.
Exactly, and I'm sure that Bible study, obviously, like you mentioned, like everyone's really close to each other on the team. But I'm sure the Bible study you mentioned, Catholic, Christian, like I'm sure, like I don't want to say like though, like people that are Catholic, Christian that go to a Bible study are like closer
Mhm.
to everyone than anyone else, but like having that kind of having that connection more than just outside of baseball, having that belief, having the same faith as each other's huge, especially like when you're going through, you mentioned struggle, like you can talk to one of them, you can bring up in Bible study, you
Yes.
have Bible study, you have places to go to be an outlet for situations like that.
Yeah, for sure.
Which is great because I know not every team has it, and I think it's really unique that you guys have it. And it's probably something that you obviously look forward to, like probably every single week. Maybe some weeks when it's a little bit more stressful, it's probably a little bit more of kind of like a get away from
Yeah, for
things.
sure.
But you have practice, you have that, like you have things that help you in life, kind of get away from the stresses of everyday life as well.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's definitely something to fall back on, and it's very nice.
Exactly. So, what are you looking forward to the most this spring? Obviously, games are going to start. I'm sure competing for a starting job is definitely one of your goals, but is it just kind of getting out there with the guys, kind of getting a quote unquote record that truly counts, trying to get to a College World Series once again?
Yeah, for sure. So, like, team goal, obviously, yeah, we wanna get to that College World Series, we wanna win it. My goal is, I told you that that one kid that I know, his name's Preston, he's at FIU now. He has the most stolen bases here,
Okay.
so that's my goal easily to try and snag that from him, because that would be a pretty cool bragging right, which it's really hard because, like, in 2 years, he had a little over 100 bags, so that's
Did he? Okay.
yeah, so it's pretty hard, but I'm hoping that if I do get my opportunity, and then once I do that, I can run away with that so I can brag to him a little bit, in the
Oh,
summers and all
absolutely.
that when I see him.
I was just gonna say, are you going to keep track of the bag stolen? Are you going to have like a countdown someplace, and you're like every single one you just tick it
Yeah, for
off a
sure.
little bit? Okay,
For
I love
sure.
that.
Imma keep my notes to him, and when I'm getting closer, Imma text him all that, let him know, like, "That's mine," all that stuff, but for sure.
You're like, I'm coming for your record. I'm going to take it, and then once I have it, I'll let you know about it.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
That would be great. That's like
Mhm.
crazy though. Over 100 bags in 2 years.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
it's insane.
unbelievable.
Yeah, he was one fast guy.
I would feel bad for the other team. Like he gets a single on first base, and then
Yeah,
next thing you know,
automatically a
he's
triple.
on. Yeah, it's a triple in like
Mhm,
2 3 pitches. It's like
mhm.
how in the world did? And I'm sure he probably didn't get thrown out too much either if he's that fast. So which is just kind of a part of baseball. It truly seems like now, like you see a lot of teams, especially the Tigers. I know, I believe you're a big Tigers fan as well. That's something
Yeah,
that they did really, really well throughout the season when they're hitting really well. Is you'd go first to third on a single. It's about
yeah.
having kind of that not only that speed advantage, but having that ability to get the runner over to third base to be able to put up big runs, and obviously having someone that has that speed like you do. That's a really big advantage to that.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
So obviously having the speed that you have, like, is it fun being an outfielder having kind of that level of speed, or is it because to me, like as an outfielder, obviously you love playing baseball, right? But like as an outfielder, you're not a part of every single play. So like some people might say, oh, that's a little bit like boring, right? Like you might get one or two plays your direction in a game. How do you just find yourself to stay engaged and just have fun in center field? Is it like talking to the guys on right, left field, or
Yeah.
is it more of just like, hey, this is something I've done for so long, like I still find this fun even if I don't make a ton of plays?
Yeah, for sure. Well, whether I would say wherever I'm at in the outfield, whether it's center, left, or right, I'm thinking about the next play. So if the no matter what, if I get 1 ball a game or 2 balls or 0, I'm always thinking like, where can I go when the ball's hit here or here or here? So like that's my before pitch prep. So I guess
Okay.
I'm kind of never really like dazing off or trying not to. That's one thing I do. Or like maybe if there's like a time or a mound visit, I'll sing a little song in my head, but like
Okay.
that's really about it.
I was just going to say, I know one thing, especially in the MLB nowadays, is you're seeing a lot of like more of like movement within like the outfield shifting stuff
Yeah.
like that. I'm assuming that's probably something that like maybe you guys do or something that like you guys experience like you have like for this hitter like you want to stand here for this hitter you want to stand there so there's a little bit more of gamesmanship that maybe go on than just staying in one spot the whole game as well though.
Yeah, for sure. We didn't really go over that in the fall, but I do know in the spring we do have like cards or we'll know with the
Yeah.
pitchers, stuff like that. So that'll be something that'll be cool because I've never really dealt with that. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think so.
Yeah, and then obviously, like you'll learn more about like the other team, the pitchers. Like again, that's just kind of the growth of baseball. Like just you have analytics now. Like it's just stuff that you can talk about forever about like analytics, about specific positioning, about like what pitchers about. I'm sure they'll have analytics on you. Like maybe they're like, well, this guy likes fastballs, but he doesn't like a curveball. Like he's really
Yeah,
good at
for
hitting
sure.
in these parts of the zone. Like that's just the biggest where the growth comes from is not only experiencing that, not only learning those things, but having the other team learn those things so then you can evolve a little bit as well and have that technology of saying, okay, like you're really good in these positions, you're really good here, here, and here, but we need to improve yourself here.
Yeah, yeah. Couldn't put it any better. That's
That
all
I was
right.
just gonna say that's what I love about baseball, especially nowadays. There's so much more analytics that go into it, and you have like managers
Yeah.
that are really good at it. Like AJ Hinch just seems like he pulls the right strings like every single time. Not every single time, but Coach Cutter I know is really really good at that kind of stuff. I know he has a podcast. I don't know if you've necessarily been on it. Yeah, I can't remember if
No,
you
I haven't. I haven't been
weren't.
on.
So yeah, I know one of your teammates that came
Yeah,
on
Caden.
was on it. Caden was on it.
Yeah,
So
he was
I know
on.
he has his own podcast. So that's definitely something
He
that he talks a little bit about. And
yeah.
I'm sure that's probably something that he talks about every single day on a daily basis.
Yeah, for sure.
So obviously we mentioned like goals that you have, like you want to go like College World Series as a team. You mentioned your individual goals, but like just to end the podcast, like what has kind of this journey meant to you? Like you've come from obviously from when you started baseball as a little kid to now being a college baseball player at LCC. Like just what has this whole journey meant to you? What have you learned through it? What does baseball mean to you? And just how excited are you to represent LCC in the spring and the baseball diamond?
Yeah, I mean, it's so real. Like, you start off young, just having fun, and then you're growing up a little bit, and you're still having fun, but you're feeling a little bit more pressure because you're like, "Do I wanna do this? Do I not?" Stuff like that, and honestly, it's awesome knowing that I'm a college baseball player. Because growing up, it's like, that's a dream. Obviously, the dream's higher, but, like, this is just one thing I can check off the list, and, like, when I have kids, I'll be able to talk to them about it, like,
Yeah.
hopefully put them in baseball, stuff like
Oh yeah.
that. But for sure, I mean, growing up, it was always in my family. My uncle played baseball at Macomb, my cousin played at Saginaw, like I said, my brother. So,
Okay.
like and I have a girl cousin, she played soccer at Saginaw. So,
Okay.
being, like, athletic in my family has always been a thing, whether I chose to play baseball a little bit late, like, my sophomore year, I still didn't know if I wanted to play baseball or basketball. So a little late, but I was always working on it because I didn't know yet. And then I realized, like, well, I had this speed. I could go farther in this than I could being a smaller guard in a basketball. So stuff like that, like once you like really take the nits of what you want to get better at, I guess that's when I really realized, like, okay, this is I love this a bit more. And I was like I was ready to take that next step and to, like, just commit to that. So once I started working on that, I became, like, what I needed to be, and now I need to get better so I can move on to the next level of baseball. So I would say it's been an amazing experience, like, growing up to where I am now. I never would have thought where I would be. So it's been awesome. Like, I couldn't ask for a better way, and I think that also comes from my family being
Oh, yeah.
raised well and just, like, my faith, like, huge leaning on my faith to where I am today.
Exactly, and, like, how difficult was it giving up basketball? I know you had opportunities in basketball as well, and just, like, did basketball help you very much in baseball? Obviously, like, it's conditioning, like, it's running back and forth. It's you have to be athletic playing basketball. I know you were a pretty good guard yourself. You could shoot up basketball a little bit. Do you still have that shot as well? I need to know if you're still a good
Yeah.
shooter anymore, if you lost, say, step or 2 on that
Yeah,
now
I
that you're playing
honestly, I
baseball.
probably lost a step or 2. I haven't picked up a ball since my last high school game, to be completely honest with you. I
We're
was
gonna have
kinda
to test it
young.
out, though. We're gonna have to see how good of a
Yeah,
shooter
for
you are.
sure,
If
for sure.
if you shoot when you go home, let me know. Let me know if
I will,
you're
I will for
lost a
sure.
step or 2 on that.
Yeah, I mean, I probably haven't lost it yet because
Okay.
it was only not even a year ago, maybe just now a year ago.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I loved basketball growing up. It was easily my number one thing, and then, like, kinda, like, hit home when I was like, I gotta stick to one, and kinda by, like, my sophomore year of high school, I definitely started liking baseball a lot more. So,
Okay.
it was just, like it was definitely one, my brother influenced it, just, like, seeing him having success, I was like, "Well, that seems awesome, like, let
Yeah.
me work towards that success," and then knowing, like, it just brings me and my brother closer because we can hit every day. So, there's a lot more
Exactly.
connecting factor in that than,
Okay.
like I mean, yeah, I loved playing basketball, but I couldn't see myself playing it in college for sure.
Okay. Who was better between who was better between you and your brother in basketball?
Definitely him.
Him?
Definitely, I'll have to give that to him. I don't know, like, one-on-one, I'm not sure. I think I would have him in, like, 5 on 5, like, because 'cause I'm more of a
Okay.
passer, but he would just get in that lane so easily, so, like, I would say probably him, but I wouldn't wanna give it to him to his face, so I would say
Oh,
me.
yeah.
Yeah.
I was just going to say that will say between you and I, even though
Yeah.
say I end up being in the podcast in general.
Yeah.
Was there any sport that, in your opinion, you think you're better than your brother in currently?
I would
Or it
say
doesn't have to be a sport; it could just be anything.
yeah, if I had to say one, obviously he has me in baseball, he's got me in football, but I would say basketball, like,
Basketball.
if it was
Okay.
really wholeheartedly, I think I could give him a couple buckets, and he wouldn't be able to
Okay.
stop me.
I, I love it. Maybe we'll have to test this out and have you on, or have both of you on, so we
Yeah,
can
we'll figure it out.
truly see who is the better player.
Yeah, we'll figure it out for sure.
Awesome. Well, one I did say one last question, but you brought up the fact of, like, growing up kind of in a athletic family, kind of having people that played baseball and kind of obviously making that decision a little bit later, but obviously still starting at a young age. So,
Mhm.
if you had the opportunity, your current self, to go back and talk to your young self when you started, one, do you think your young self would believe where you are currently? And two, what would you tell your young self about just how far you've come and just what, like, he's going to experience in the next 10, 15 years?
Yeah, so if I were to go back, I would say and talk to my young self, I would probably say man, that's a tough question. I would probably have to say that, like, what I'm doing now is what I would hope I was doing because when I was younger, that
Okay.
was my dream, so I'd for sure say that. In 10 to 15 years, if I were to say that, then I would say, hopefully, I'm in the same path, same, like, line, whether it's still in baseball or whether it's with a job, I still have the same mindset going into life, and I would just say, like, my faith, that's how I'm gonna get by in life and find my find the rest of myself through that, whether it's, like, all that
Exactly.
and yeah, that's about all I can pray about, just pray about it all, like, pray that the path I'm going down is the one that God wants me to go down.
Exactly, because we don't know his plan, but there's always a plan, and it always comes
Exactly,
back to faith at the
exactly.
end of the day.
Whether you can see him or not, he always knows the right way.
Exactly. But
Mhm.
no, thank you so much for joining. It's been a ton of fun. I feel like we could talk so much
Yeah,
longer. Maybe we'll have you back on. Would love to have you back on. One thing I always say to anyone that ever joins is, if you ever want to come back on, it's always an open invite. Maybe we'll have to get you back on after the spring. Talk a little bit of how you're
yeah, for
closer
sure.
to the stealing record. Hopefully you're more than halfway at
Yeah,
that
that'd be
point.
awesome.
But yeah, no, thank you
Yeah,
for
thank you
joining.
for
I hope
having
it
me.
was worth your time, joining. I
That was
truly
awesome, thank
do.
you for having me.
Absolutely. And yeah, good luck the rest of this year. Good luck in the spring as well. Good luck in your next couple of years after that as well. I'm sure you'll be playing someplace else next year, maybe 2 years down the road. Depends on kind of your trajectory. But
Yeah,
yeah,
for
no,
sure.
thank you again for joining. That is a wrap to episode number 520. Thank you again to Daniel for joining, and tune in to the next episode.